My F27, best friend F27, talked badly about my boyfriend, M29, of 3 years, because of his ADHD. I put a very gentle limit, saying it hurt me that she talked that badly about him, since she doesn't even know him, she just ghosted me. My boyfriend has ADHD, he does his best to live normally with it and goes to therapy etc., but it is still a disability that impacts his life. He is a great guy and we get along very well. I try to be understanding, read about ADHD and to adapt to his needs to a degree we both can work well as a couple. That means largely that I sometimes have to remind him about housework and appointments and to create a peaceful shared living space, as he gets overwhelmed by noise easily. It also means to avoid fights, screaming matches, as he gets very overwhelmed by his emotions. We just talk about it calmly after some processing time has passed, and it also means on my end accepting that he has a disability and being patient with him. He is overall a great partner for me too. He is loyal, intelligent, listens to all my big and small problems and buys me little gifts during the day to try and cheer me up. He is also very supportive with my hobbies, relationships, and friendships. Enter my best friend. She is trash-talking him non-stop, since I told her about some frustrations I had with my boyfriend to actually get to the point where we are now. She called him a slur, said that his mental issues are not my problem and that they don't explain his behavior. She started with the weaponized incompetence talk, that he was just using me, that she hoped my therapist would intervene and tell me to end my relationship, that I was blind and not smart and had no self-respect and deserved better, that I didn't have to be caring with him at all, that his issues are his problem and that she would only change her opinion if he got rich and paid for my lifestyle. We have been friends for over 10 years now and we never had any other issues, as I try to be patient and understanding with her, too. This is the first time I actually marked a hard boundary with her. She has been ghosting me for 2 weeks now. Any advice on how to handle this? I tried to talk about the good in my relationship and she just talked it down. Comments from netizens. Comment 1. It's weird that you include avoiding screaming matches as part of an accommodation for his ADHD, because that's hopefully something you just don't do in a healthy relationship? What do you mean that he gets overwhelmed by his emotions? The way your best friend talks is gross. Slurs, saying his behavior that she doesn't like would be okay if he was rich? Replay 1. Emotional intensity is an ADHD symptom or diagnostic criteria. As with everything ADHD, YMMV, but it's not uncommon. She means being aware of that and making choices to avoid leading down that path to avoid him getting emotionally overwhelmed, because they both recognize that screaming matches is absolutely not something that should happen in a healthy relationship. Sounds like they probably had one, or a few, went, wow, that's not good. This is not an acceptable thing to happen in a relationship. Why is this happening and how can we plan to avoid it? And have managed to figure it out. In a perfect world, he'd have come into the relationship already knowing what he needed to do and needed her to understand to avoid or handle big flare UPS that make it hard to communicate with a partner in a healthy, effective way. But sometimes people have to learn how to be better partners as they go. The important thing is that they have learned how to navigate it, and it isn't something that happens anymore. Replay 2. My wife has ADHD, and so does my brother. My wife is somewhat sensitive to sound, but her primary symptoms are time blindness and struggles with scheduling and prioritizing tasks. We've been married for almost 15 years, and it's come with some struggles and compromises. While I understand you trying to be understanding and accommodating, I likely wouldn't have remained with my wife until the present day if she had not committed to a treatment plan and worked on herself. For most people with ADHD, a combination of medication and adaptations can help with managing day-to-day life without major disadvantages. My wife is a lot better than she was 5 and especially 10 years ago. While your friend was cruel and out of line for using a slur, you shouldn't completely dismiss her mention of weaponized incompetence. I only bring that up because my brother has struggled with it a lot as he's gotten older. Once he realized he could shift from managing a lot of the frustrating complexity of being an adult onto his girlfriend, now wife, he just stopped doing a lot of it, and it led to a lot of resentment and an eventual blow-up. They worked through it, and my brother had to sort himself out, but I wouldn't want that kind of thing to happen to you. It was a painful experience for everyone involved. It would be beneficial if you take a firm stance on insisting that he work on the skills necessary to become a fully functional adult, whatever that means for his particular symptoms and treatment profile. Comment 2. You've been with this guy for 3 years, but she barely knows him? Also, how much of your friendship is you talking about his negative behaviors? I feel like you may be underselling how his behaviors are impacting your life in the interest of getting some validation that you're in the right for being so accommodating to him. Is she tired of hearing about his deficiencies as a partner with no real action on your part? Listening to a friend continuously put up with a bad partner but won't hear criticism can be exhausting in its own right, and I think anyone here will have a hard time responding with good advice with only your side of the story. Replay from OP. She has moved away for work before I got together with him and she has shown no interest in meeting him. All my other friends who live nearby know and like him a lot. She and I text, Ed, daily and we meet up for a girls' trip or I would go and visit her. I don't vent about this regularly. It just came up in conversation that it is sometimes very challenging for me, because I am very hyper-independent and tend to be avoidant and being accommodating is something new for me, as I have lived alone most of my life. And I talked about the challenges. Since then she went crazy with it. Comment 3. You spoke badly about your boyfriend first. She's just agreeing with you and responding to your complaints about him. You can't be surprised that your friends give you advice and their support after you shit-talk your boyfriend. You must have given a really bad impression of him if she's labeling his behavior as weaponized incompetence and saying he's using you. If that's not true, why do you talk so badly about him to your friends? Does he know you do this? Would he care? If it's true, why are you so angry at your friend for agreeing with you and telling you that you deserve better? If you don't want to hear your friends give you their opinion and advice on your relationship, don't talk about your relationship. It's not their fault your boyfriend sucks. I can't imagine how frustrating it must be on her end to have to listen to all that and be told to shut up. Also, boundaries are for you and your behavior, not for other people. You can't tell someone what they are or aren't allowed to say to you and claim it's a boundary. Replay from OP. Yes, of course he is getting the help he needs to manage his conditions. It is okay to take care of and accommodate your partner. That doesn't make me his mother, as we have an equal relationship in every other aspect, and he also accommodates to my needs and shows up for me, and I can talk with him about everything. In some aspects, he has been a better friend than my bestie in recent years. The issue is with my friend, not him. Comment 4. It's absolutely wild that you've been friends for 10 years and she's A. ghosting you, and B. does not know your partner of 3 years. The comment about him making more money as a way to make up for his ADHD is, sure, something. Seems like maybe there's something weird going on with her there. If you do end up talking to her again, I'd recommend keeping that boundary, but remembering that boundaries are things that you choose for your behavior, not something you put in place for someone else's. Don't put my boyfriend down to me, is not a boundary. I will not continue a conversation in which you're putting my boyfriend down, is. It sounds like you and your partner are doing everything right to manage his disability, and from what you've written the relationship is good and valuable enough to be worth it for you. As a woman with ADHD, that's really heartening to read. As good as it is that we're recognizing now that weaponized incompetence absolutely is a thing, and absolutely is a problem, people confusing ADHD struggles with weaponized incompetence can be frustrating. It's good for friends and family in your life to be on the lookout for if a relationship takes from you more than it gives, and it's right for them to flag that if they think they're seeing it. But they also need to respect you enough to respect your judgment and your own call on whether he is still a good enough partner to be the one you want to tie yourself to regardless of the complications from his disability. If you do end up talking to your friend again, maybe tell her something like that. Replay from OP. Hey, thank you so much for addressing the actual issue and giving such thoughtful and understanding advice. It is actually very helpful. She doesn't know him very much, because she moved for work 3 hours away, before I started dating my boyfriend. She and I meet for girl trips or I go to visit her. She hasn't had much of an opportunity to meet. The ghosting thing hurts and confuses me so much here. We have been friends since school. I am sorry you struggle with ADHD, too. I am actually very sad reading all the stigma still around it, or people not wanting to see the challenges it brings and at least trying to be more understanding. If I had any type of difficulty or would get sick or something, I would also love to have an understanding partner who is there for me in my times of need. I think it is the minimum for someone you love. I hope you are doing well.